Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning to dear participants. So, on behalf of KVSR Siddhartha Pharmaceutical Sciences, I invite you all, I welcome you all for the 1 week online faculty development program, Holistic Approaches Towards Disease Treatment, Regulations and Pharmacological Strategies, Day 4. I would like to call upon Dr. Karnashri ma'am to share a few words about today's session.
Thank you, Sushant. Am I audible, Sushant?
Madam?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning to all the participants. Good morning, Madam Mangatari Garu.
Yeah, good morning.
Sir Mahendran Shekhar sir is also there in the today's session. Good morning,
Yeah.
sir. Welcome, sir. And I welcome you all to this 4th day of holistic approaches towards disease treatment, regulations, and pharmacological strategies. Madam is going to enlighten us regarding the drug discovery aspects and what are the food matrices and the COVID time. Madam is well versed with all these topics, and I have been in association with Madam since 98, I think, 98. And Madam, you also have visited our college in 2019,
Yeah.
one seminar. We are very fortunate to have you as a resource person in this faculty development program, Madam. Welcome you all. I welcome you to this event.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be here too.
Thank you, Madam. Now, Sushant,
Yes, ma'am.
then continue the program.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. It's my great pleasure to introduce today's Novel personality, Dr. Mangatayaru ma'am, Research and Development Consultant, Food and Herbal Products, Isha Arogya, Coimbatore. Ma'am did pharmacy graduation from Madras Medical College, 1988, University third rank. She started her career with 2 years stint in pharmaceutical industry, qualified at GATE 93, and post-graduation from reputed University College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Kakatiya University, Warangal, 1994, University second rank. She joined Sri Ramachandra Medical College and Research Institute in 1997, completed PhD in 2010, and she went on become the principal professor and head department of pharmacognosy, faculty of pharmacy, Chennai. Also a guest faculty at the Isha Hatha School of Yoga since 2013. She pre-existed from the service this July 2022 to join Isha Arogya, a health subsidiary of world-renowned Isha Foundation, as a full-time consultant for their food and herbal drug product research and development. With a total 24 years of teaching and research experience, her research focus is on phytochemical processing techniques for isolation of bioactive leads for pharmacological, preclinical, and clinical validation of herbal drugs in the areas related to oncology, wound care, atherosclerosis, and diabetes. Outside mainstream academics and research, she has a keen involvement in yoga, traditional diet, as per Ayurveda and Siddha principles. Aside from being a motivated teacher, she is an avid researcher having published 42 research papers with cumulative impact factor of 50.552 with H index 14 and I-10 index is 18. She authored 470 pages textbook that is Pharmacognosy and Indian Perspective, published by Pearson, and has generated research funds to tune of 85. Notable among the paper presentations are at Dubai, UAE, at the World Congress of Medical and Aromatic Plants, at Brisbane, Australia, and at Curtin University, Perth, Australia. She has so far guided 4 PhD, 15 PG projects, 7 UG projects. She holds 4 patents and has won several university research awards for high impact publications. With rich academic and research background, she is also consultant to some herbal drug NGOs in Tamil Nadu. This is a brief note of ma'am. It's my pleasure to introduce ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. I shall share my screen now. You should stop sharing, I think, only. It says you cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing. Yeah. A minute. Yeah. Is that visible? I hope you can see the screen.
No, ma'am.
Now? Can see? Yeah, I'm already in Zoom and I've given share screen.
Just a minute. Did you share your screen, ma'am?
Yeah, I did.
Just try once, ma'am. Yes, it's sharing. Ma'am, you're unmuted. Ma'am, unmute yourself. Your voice is not audible, ma'am.
Yeah, now you can hear?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. So, thank you the organizers. I thank Dr. Karunashri, Dr. Sunita for having given this opportunity to be able to talk to the faculty in this 1 week FTP program. So thank you, the speaker who introduced me, for those kind words of introduction. So first and foremost, the topic I have taken is, before we go on to the topic, I know how an FDP is. Normally, faculty development programs, especially in academic area, we are talking to faculty, young faculty who are trying to do research or want to do research. So academic research is usually never serious. That's what they say. I'm just sharing it openly. So it's not as good as industrial research, because the objective, the aim of our research is not whatever we write in our PhD proposal. The aim of our research is to get a promotion or to get a PhD. So that's the aim. The objective will be you go and do some work. And we want to just make some papers also and get some good name. And either it's for that, that's how academic research happens. And or once you finish your research, once you're done with your PhD, you're done with research, you're done with the headache and you want to settle down comfortably in life. And so that's what industry people usually say. So me being in industry has been a very big advantage for me. So but I don't see all academic researchers like that. So when we talk, see, our exposure to industry and practical pharmacy is very less, but still a lot of PhDs coming should not be going down the drain. I want to just show young researchers. There may be a few out there who really want to do something. They've come into teaching and love research. So I'm really addressing those people where I see very good researchers working on lame topics. Lame in the sense they do a lot of work on what's already existing. So you need to add value to knowledge that is existing. So I'm addressing those people with this, and the others can also just listen how I'm talking and other things. I hope I'll be among this. I see some, yeah, 45 faculty, at least a few will be inspired towards their research, what actually we should be doing, and how is it that what makes an academic research successful. I see a lot of advantages for academic research, because you don't have the pressure of industry. We see a lot of part-time industry students coming for research and they don't have the kind of time we have. The kind of time, not like them, but still we have our advantage, and I think it's best we make use of that. So coming to the topic, why I chose this topic was, during the COVID era has been a very big advantage for pharmacognosy people. So what are functional food matrices, especially in the COVID era? Why are we interested? What are the challenges, that is opportunities? What are the prospects, opportunities and challenges? So how do we go about doing it? Yeah, so let's get started. So COVID has definitely changed our lives. All of us agree to this. So sudden loss of near and dear, each of us, there is no one in this audience who has not missed someone in the family or friends or at least neighbors. So, and it was not a simple thing. It was not a normal death. The way people have died has been a shocker for all of us. The psychological and financial impact on families. We have seen families, the head of the family is suddenly no longer there. They do not know how to grapple with that. Lost jobs, half paid jobs, partly paid jobs, and the economic impact it had on all of us. The trauma of trying to save lives. When people were dying, there was really not much we could do. I have seen, being in when I was in Ramachandra, people calling up and asking whether there are any hospital beds. And usually, immediately, it was a non-COVID time, immediately there will be something that can be done. But there were so many calls. At one point, our medical director said, "Ma'am, I know how we are calling, but there is really not much we can do. We are just overflowing with requests." So that was a trauma test, no, telling people, no, there is no bed. I don't know what to do for you. That was the trauma of trying to save life, leave alone trying to, the trauma of the families who go through them. Disrupted, changed social work equation, remote working, remote education, remote classes. Even mothers were overburdened with their own children. They didn't want to have them around. When these kids will go to school, I heard mothers lamenting. Of course, isolation and depression, all of us have gone through this. And we saw how precarious our lives are. Well, nothing can be taken for granted in our lives. And that was really felt by all of us. See, what we are thinking with so much command, we go through our lives, nothing is given. A tiny virus changed our entire perspective on life. So, against this background, some questions remained. Have we taken health for granted? Were we unprepared? We should have been better prepared. What was actually lacking? So, what was lacking was wanting health systems. That means our health infrastructure was not good enough, or maybe we didn't have the right perspective on health. This is not my opinion. This is the opinion of an International Monetary Fund summary opinion they have presented. So a team of about 6 international experts on taking into consideration geopolitical, statistical, health surveys, so many aspects in mind. They have presented this summary opinion. I really thought this was a very insightful one. I went with their understanding, because there are certain other things which they've seen before, which is coming right now. One of the things they mentioned was, because of COVID, there will be a lot of deglobalization. That means people will become more nationalistic. We see that happening in India. I'm not saying this entirely because of COVID or not, but it's definitely happening. So I thought this was a very nice insight. So that is one of their insights was, we were actually not very prepared with respect to health infrastructure, or we did not have a right understanding of health. So is it entirely right? More beds, more doctors, more nurses, more drugs. Would it have made a difference? We would have saved a lot of lives. We must really think. Who succumbed? Who are the people who actually succumbed to this virus? Like they got killed, they lost their lives, or they had multiple, who are vulnerable, multiple infections, who survived. We have seen people who were exposed to the worst conditions, but they never got the virus. So these are all things we saw. And the question that comes up, the answer is innate immunity. Maybe people were more immune. So consumers started connecting their dietary habits with their health. How do we become more immune? Maybe it's what they eat. Maybe I'm not eating right. Like these people, it was the general thing that happened. There was a sudden demand for immunity boosters, alternative therapies. All of us know, we have seen the overnight popularity of healers, remedies. Someone in Nellore becomes popular, someone in Kalahasti, someone in Kumbakonam says, yeah, I have the miracle heal. And we all paid attention to him. Normally, we would just dismiss him as a quack. But our condition was, the emergency was such that we were listening to anyone and everyone who's offering us a solution. People started consuming. Not all believed in these quacks. People started self-help with respect to multivitamins, probiotics, dairy products. They went on diet. They started becoming more physically active. Drugs like Nilavembu Kudineer, Kabasura Kudineer, Adhasaram, vitamin C, zinc. It was hoarded by one and all. People started just packing their house with these things because there was a demand. Someone in our family, like he was in the hospital. Hello. Yeah. Someone was in the hospital and I could not actually supply this Nilavembu Kudineer. So I just had a lot of packets in my house so that we could at least courier them. It was very heartening to see. And there was a rising consumer awareness about health and wellness products. So what should we do, if not now, in future? Because it looked like COVID was never going to go. And overall, the market exploded with all kinds of remedies, herbals, and traditional drugs. So there has been a shift to health conscious food, drink, and supplement purchases. People started, you can clearly see the market going up for all these products. That was a significant market opportunity for functional foods. Yeah, so what are functional foods? I bet most of the pharmacognosy faculty will be knowing this. All of them mean the same, ma'am, same definitions here and there we put it. Yeah, that's how they seem. But here, the kind of statistics we are going to see, we'll just go through what they mean. So there are different terms which are used interchangeably. For example, the term functional foods means they are whole, enriched, or fortified, enhanced products that provide demonstrated physiological benefits beyond nutrition. Not just about for your health, you whole grains. We used to take rice, but now you started taking whole grains, fortified drinks, fortified dairy products. So what is enriched means, see, when you make bread out of wheat. So what you think would have been lost in wheat flour during enrichment, like folic acid, riboflavin, or maybe fiber, it was added. That's called an enriched food. So to the bread that you prepare, you add something which you think may be missing during processing. You call that an enriched food. Fortified food is food that was actually not there. You just want to add it. For example, vitamin D is present very little in milk, so you add vitamin D to milk. And enhanced foods means you just want more of it, not that they got missed in processing. You just want more of fiber in your wheat products, bread, and other things. You want more calcium in orange juice. So that's what food. They were basically foods which you take not just to satisfy your hunger, but for your health. So nutraceuticals, they deliver a concentrated form of a food bioactive in a non-food matrix. See, if you have something you feel is the bioactive in a certain food, for example, fiber is good from wheat, Why to eat wheat? You take the fiber out, put it in a capsule and give. Now that's a nutraceutical. Carotenoids, natural antioxidants like lycopene, glycosamine are all given in a non-food matrix. The health supplements. Health supplements are those that we take that supplement our diet. That means you're taking them along with your diets. It could be vitamins, minerals. Nowadays, even garlic, echinacea, so many compounds, phytocompounds, plant-derived compounds, or the herbs themselves sometimes. Mostly it's phytocompound. They're taken to increase the dietary intake. Say, for example, you want more of resveratrol or something. You take resveratrol along with some vitamins and minerals because you want more antioxidants. So vitamins, minerals, CoQ, fish oils for their vitamin A and D content. So those are health supplements. Botanicals, of course, we know they're herbal drugs or plant material or plant-based products indicated for health modifying effect in traditional medicine or as patented or proprietary products. Classical medicine means directly Siddha, Ayurveda, Unani, Tibbi formulations directly use them. Or you take the herbs and prepare, make something out of them that's called a proprietary product. So all these are available globally. There has been a global demand for this. These come under the category of botanicals. So used interchangeably and together, they are all, sometimes not everybody uses the pakka definition. They just call them as dietary supplements, and which they are supposed to be those which provide scientifically proven disease modifying effects beyond traditional nutrition. Post COVID, this function food market was seeing strong growth as per global statistics. So function food market in India. See, we are not new to functional foods, but the term functional food, the concept was introduced in Japan in 1980s. For our rich traditional diet legacy, see, we have been eating functional foods right from the beginning. Technically speaking, if you eat right, what we are eating is functional foods. So that is why for the nature of the traditional diet legacy of our country, functional foods was actually old wine in new bottle. So that's why though it was introduced in 1980s in Japan, into India, the market entry was slow. Yet today, that was the situation around 1990s like that. Today, China, Southeast Asia, and India are all exponentially growing functional food markets. Functional foods are which are an integral part of the nutraceuticals market is gaining its identity in India. What are the reasons? High incidence of diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, osteoporosis, arthritis. It's rising globally. So traditional diets, we have abandoned traditional diets. We are eating what we think is good. Basically, we have gone to westernized food and now we are come back and we are taking foods like our traditional diets packaged and given to us from Japan. We pay a huge price and take it very happily because it came from outside the country. There has been a national drop in physical activity pre-COVID. After COVID, people became slightly health conscious and some physical activity has improved. But basically, an average Indian works out much, much lesser than an average, say, Australia or let's say Sweden or Switzerland or Italy, if you take US. So basically, we exercise much less. So that's one of the reasons. And a high import duty on functional foods in India. 46% you have to pay import duty if you want to bring some product. It will be some idli kind of stuff only. They would have made it in USA. You want to buy it and eat it, you have to pay 46% more. So that's one of the reasons which was contributing to the local functional food production. Wealth of traditional medicine knowledge. We already have a rich legacy of what is good for health and other things. All we have to do is just package it differently and tell the consumers different story. This is not idli. No, this is not cooled from ragi. So from ragi, we did not make any ganji. The same thing you make it and tell a modern name. Like you say, no, it's a veg smoothie. You tell to your Kira Colombo, they will take it. So that's why, that's one of the reasons. Diverse flora. India is it has a rich biodiversity. We have one of the topmost biodiversity hotspots in India. So our diverse flora is also a very big incentive for us to be exploring the functional food market. So functional foods are the single fastest growing segment in India today. So that's the reality. So functional food market skyrockets. So this statistic is the COVID verge global market prediction. So just the COVID was about to start, and functional foods were already on the rise. So it was predicted there will be a 276.68 billion marginal market increase by 2024 with a 9.39% of CAGR, cumulative aggregate growth rate. So even before COVID, it was predicted that one of the key drivers for this market will be the health benefits associated with functional foods. So today, this is a the statistics I have given is global nutraceuticals market. So here, because of COVID, lot of functional foods also have entered this. So really, we do not have a separate statistics for health supplements separately, functional food separately, because the margin is, I mean, almost invisible. So you see the difference. Almost about 500 billion is a market we are looking at by 2030. That's a huge, big scope. So if you look at the Asia Pacific nutraceuticals market size, look at the market size pre-COVID, 108.79 US dollars in billions, 124.7. It's a 50 billions. 1 billion is 100 crore rupees. So that's a very big market, and no wonder in India, the pharma sector moves into the nutrition sector. This was a very big functional food magazine that saw big pharma sees bigger possibilities in the nutrition segments. So the financial year 2021 saw a large number of big and small pharma players launching innovative nutrition-based products to help build immunity and overall wellness. Companies like Sanofi, Bayer, GlaxoSmithKline, they owe a large part of their sales to supplements. In fact, they're ranked among the top 5 companies in 2020 in vitamin supplement sales. So Karan Chechi, one of the pioneering person during the COVID time, and he basically for tech sci research, it's a technical that they talk from a lot of statistics. So he said that the pharma industry will no longer be able to focus only on illness, that is making drugs only while providing medication, but will have to keep a balance of how quickly a patient's health is restored. So the pharma industry is singing a slightly different tune they have changed. At present, a growing trend for the pharmaceutical industry is to enter the food, nutrition, and probiotics market with products having specific health benefits which have been proven in human research trials. So that's what he says. It's not enough that pharma sits with making drugs only. So we need to move, and that's what happened. Is it possible for pharma to just like they enter the nutrition market? Are they capable? Are they fit? Sure, there is a huge diverse market, but what about regulations? Yeah, so these are the basic regulations. I mean, these are the guidance regulations that which actually control the market. The WHO guidance documents on herbal drugs, all pharmacognosy, even everybody knows that WHO is the documents they have been released since the World Health Assembly 2012. So there are a series of documents with respect to guidelines they were issued with respect to quality assessments of herbs, herbal products, processing, how to do what is I mean, good agricultural practices, good collection practices. So all the guidelines they have brought are actually the what you call the that is the reference point for all countries to make their own guidelines with respect to herbal drugs. See, there has been a boom in herbal drug market even before COVID, and after COVID, it has become arithmetically more. So the another major flag for the global market for herbal drugs booming is the Dietary Supplement Health Education Act 1994 USA. This was the green signal which you must say actually opened up the floodgates for the global herbal market. And not only this the Ministry of Human and Health Resources USA, Central Drug for Evaluation and Research, and the Federal Drug Authority, together they brought up this a very important document called the Botanical Drug Development Guidance for Industry. So it's like the big brother saying, okay, see, normally when we do something in the family, you know, we want to do something, but we look up to the head of the family. If he says, okay, let's go to a movie, then it's just we want to go to a movie. No, we look at the father, he said, yeah, let's go, then we are all happy. So it's USA is like the big brother of the world. So once they issued these guidelines, there was total overall investment in research. So what they do is this Botanical Drug Development Guideline gives very clear, it assists what are the things you have to do an INDA, new drug application, or investigation new drug application in the area of botanical drugs. And not only that, what all you have to look before you even start doing research, or even before you even dream of making a product that can go to the FDA to reach the USA market. So that guidelines are really useful. So like this number of, I don't want to go through all, only the most important ones which have a bearing on India, the European Medicine Agency. So under that, the Committee for Herbal Medicinal Products basically issues guidelines, scientific and regulatory guidelines with the idea of harmonizing herbal drug market in the European Union, not just the market products, processing, everything. So like that, you have the TG, therapeutic TG of Australia. You have multiple things, but what has a bearing on India alone, I'm just mentioning. In India, it's the Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940, the rules, Chapter 4A, and various schedules, provisions thereof, especially the 1993 amendments, have a very important bearing on how, what is a food, what is a drug, what is a botanical drug, how it is different from a normal drug, the Schedule T and so many other things give us the direction. So on behalf, the power vested into the central government with the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, it is the Central Drug Standards Control Authority of India, which dispenses with the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. Similarly, the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006 and the 2017 regulations on herbal supplements and nutraceuticals. This is a single reference point for all food product licensing, food product related safety monitoring in India. So this is what that actually control Indian functional food market, we can say. So seeing them all in context. So if you see anything that is food comes under the FSSA Act. Anything that's a pharmaceutical, whether it's a health supplement or a nutraceutical, yeah, medicinal foods is a totally different category. It's not like nutraceuticals, functional foods, health supplements. Medical foods, you can say, are see, when there is a deficiency disease, you make a food that contains that particular ingredient, and it is to be given under hospital supervision only, under medical supervision, and that food contains that particular ingredient, for example, for a particular disease condition. So all this, whatever it is, if it comes under this bracket, it comes under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. You could have a lot of botanicals used for various non-health purposes, but this bracket comes either under the FSS Act or the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. Overall, this is our big brother act, the Dietary Supplement Health Education Act of the USA, which overall governs foods, pharmaceuticals, and everything that comes under this umbrella. So this is how the regulations talk. Having seen this, what are the opportunities for the pharma industry to go into functional food market, for that matter, for anyone to invest in the functional food? So riding on the current wave of rising consumer awareness about nutrition-based products, more and more pharma companies have now started incorporating nutritional products in their OTC range, over-the-counter drugs. So with generics and limited innovation in the drug space, see, we have almost hit the top for roof for new drugs. So they have seen, and to overcome the logistical hurdles of large scale production houses. See, if you see, the functional food manufacturing is different from pharma manufacturing. So pharma manufacturing has decided to capture the huge revenue that is there waiting for them to catch because of the COVID and other awareness in the market. There's a huge market waiting to be caught, to be trapped, to be potentialized. So pharma, if wants to go inside, with drugs and generics, they have limited opportunity. So if they want to go inside, you cannot just do your own manufacturing with the kind of batch size a pharma plant has. The batch size of a functional food unit is much, much larger. So to overcome the logistical hurdle of going in for revamping their production to large scale production, pharma giants are now acquiring nutrition products or units. If you take the Cipla during the COVID time, went and purchased for about 68 crores Vanberry's for consumer health products, especially the women health product. So mergers and acquisitions are a very large opportunity for pharma to enter into the functional food market. Of course, it generates more revenue, especially meeting rising demands at the global level. When there is so much market, you know so much about drugs and health, you can't sit quiet. So that's, and you have all the R&D and other things amidst the COVID scenarios. That is that's a great opportunity to the pharma industry. So pharma industry has solid research department, and you have a very good stakeholder relationship. You have a very good, what you call, supply chain, basically. So you know who is going to buy your product. Pharma is expert on that. So they now compete with the large scale manufacturing expertise and global mass consumer market reach of the food industry. Food industry, on the other hand, has a huge consumer market. They have a very good retail reach. So thus potentializing on the rising demand for functional foods. So when you actually, instead of buy products, like I said in this point, if you acquire a functional food unit, then you buy their faculty, you buy their expertise, you buy their technical know-how. So that's a great opportunity. Now, R&D of pharma is slightly different from an R&D of a functional food unit. They have a different kind of R&D. So an active R&D ecosystem, active means it's more flexible. And Nutri has a more flexible R&D, whereas a pharma has a more robust R&D. They're more strong, but they're not really, they need not be very flexible for the nature of products. We'll see that in the next slide. So an active ecosystem of Nutri plus the pharma sector's strength together is poised to synergize the traditional medicine hall. That's another strength. I'm just looking at the Indian market. I'm not talking from the global viewpoint. That's a strength for us. So we have a very good traditional knowledge, not only on herbal, classical medicine, foods. That's going to foster a great innovation. If we are not going to innovate, who else will? So we cannot expect someone from USA to innovate based on our traditional diets, our herbal medicine legacy, and they're going to cash in on that. So that's the enormous opportunity we have. The challenges. Challenges for the farmer to venture into the nutritional market. As I already told you, the logistical nightmare of having to establish large-scale production facilities. So you have to, that's a big thing. You can't go and completely change your production. That's going to take a lot of money. One of the reasons pharma is moving inside is investment is relatively less. You do not have the high cost of buying bulk drugs and other things. The cost is totally different when it comes to functional food market. So poor in-house strength in nutrition R&D. We are not experts like the nutrition R&D. We have good R&D. Pharma has a good R&D, but they do not have the specific with nutritional products. So totally different regulatory landscape. Inconsistencies due to regulation interpretation. So if you take the Drugs and Cosmetics Act and the Food and FSSA Act, the reading will be the same, the act will be the same, but how you interpret it is different. So you cannot interpret the FSSA Act like you did the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. So it is a skill which you need the right kind of people. That a different landscape, you need people, not just going and reading the book. You'll not be able to interpret. So you need the skilled people also. The organizational culture of pharma is devoted to marketing drugs with basically they deal with long research cycle, whereas food products have a very short research cycle. Struggles to adapt to the fast growing pace of nutritional market. Nutritional market is not like pharma, you release a product today, you are not going to touch it for the next 5 years at least. But nutritional product is not like that. Today you release a product, 6 months you should be willing to change it, make some change the flavor, add the taste, put some color, make it a different thing. This kind of an ecosystem pharma doesn't have. So that is why it struggles to adapt to you need to change your products fast growing pace of the nutritional market. Competing on taste especially, see you have to compete on taste with the competitors in the market, and for this what you need is a very good strategic relationship with big retailers. So retailers will be having, basically you need to have a very good consumer arm. What I'm saying is few pharma companies have a consumer arm. Only if you have a good consumer arm, you know what the people want. For example, Maggie is there. Within 6 months, there is winter, then they change the Maggie. Again, something else comes up, they change. They do so many changes with the flavor. Innovation keeps happening. But it doesn't happen like that with pharma. So basically, because pharma deals with few pharma companies have a consumer arm. Despite enormous sales and marketing resources, their experience is only towards doctors and pharmacists. We do not have active feedback. We don't go and ask the doctor, did you like the color of my tablet? We don't go and ask the pharmacist, do our consumers saying red capsule is better or green capsule is better? No, that kind of feedback we don't have. It's redundant, it's non-existent, but it's a must for a nutrition product. So we do not, for that you need a completely different time of kind of feedback, supply chain, and what you need to have a consumer arm, which is missing. That's a challenge for the pharma industry. Despite all these challenges, these are the recent pharma ventures in nutrition segment. During the COVID, these are some of the products that entered the functional food market made by pharma manufacturers. If you see, Intas Pharmaceuticals is it's a COVID supplement basically made from black cumin. The Ahmedabad Pharmaceutical did some research on thymoquine, which is the active constant of black quinone, and it is said to be an immunity booster, and it was really saying that they have some lot of clinical data saying that it is a significant add-on to standard COVID treatment. Next is Cipla's Maxi Rich Tulsi Drops. So Maxi Rich is their flagship multivitamin brand. So during the COVID time, they want to capture the same market. They want to tell the market, no, we are only making this Tulsi supplement. So they brought it under the name Maxi Rich Tulsi. It was supposed to improve respiratory digestive health for cough, colds, and they promoted it saying Tulsi is good for immunity. So this Cipla Pharmaceuticals did not do. You have Cipla Health, which is a healthcare subsidiary. So that was totally strengthened. They brought a whole range of products. This was a very product which had a very good selling. So Cadila Pharmaceuticals, same Cadila Health brought Cadimmune, which is a ginger-based immunity booster. It has some sandalwood and some other nut grass. So these are the products. This also is said to be an immunity booster. This had captured a very good market. Lupin Pharmaceuticals brought Bre1. It is an energy supplement based on ashwagandha, Shila, Satavari, Shilajit, some herbs. Those are the chief herbs. So next is Dr. Agrawat Healthcare, Ahmedabad based Dr. Agrawat brought out an Ayurvedic medicinal candy, a lollipop for OSMF. Okay, that is submucous fibrosis. So this is a pre-malignant condition. So oral submucous fibrosis, we can say, is pre-malignant in the sense people who have this definitely will go for cancer within a matter of 6-7 years. It's 100 almost it's a 90% they say. So that comes from tobacco chewing. So unless in the intervening 6-7 months period they do something, they are going to end up in cancer. So there are a lot of products for that. So during this COVID time, they launched this product. It's they say it has mouth dissolving turmeric, tulsi, and some herbs. So that also made a very good market. Now Celavida is Dr. Reddy Laboratories medical food. So it contains very high protein, omega-3 fatty acids, medium chain triglycerides. Basically they were marketing cancer cachexia. That is, cancer will be, because of cori recycling, they'll be severely malnourished. So for them, people admitted in the hospital, they give this medical food for also critical care in coronary vascular diseases. So Clevira by Apex Labs, Chennai-based Apex Labs, they did a very good marketing trick. This Clevira is a dengue herbal supplement. So they did a lot of clinical research and they repurposed the dengue herbal supplement during COVID, and they got approval from Ministry of Ayush and ICMR, and Tamil Nadu government also gave approval. There was a lot of market for Clevira too during COVID. So with that, yeah, is it, so what is the moral of the story? Moral of the story is, yeah, functional foods are making a lot of thing. We can make a lot of Me Too products. I will just take something from the classical medicine, make into a product. It's not going to work. The 2 year is not now. Now the scenario is totally different. COVID is no longer a threat. Sure, we have it, but yesterday there was a release that global World WHO said there has been a 15% drop in COVID-related mortality. That's a very good sign. So it's not enough. Yeah, the functional food market is still there. We have an enormous opportunity, but it's not enough. We launch products. See, the products that the pharma launched they were just lucky. It was the emergency time, almost like an emergency. People needed products, so immediately approvals were given, and we needed some health supplements to be brought out. But the same thing cannot go on. What is required now is the functional food market needs to see more innovation. So innovation is a need of our, if we really have to capture the market. So I just found one of our studies which we did. So a small thing, I don't know, this is what I want the people who are aiming at research to see. So bioactive functional components are the food industry calls them bioactive food components. See, whatever is good for health in a particular food has been taken out and made in the form of nutraceuticals. We have already seen, for example, resveratrol from grapes, or L-aspartic gallic acid from amla, or wheat quercetin from so many colored vegetables, greens, and other things. So that was taken and given the form of a nutraceutical. But their supplemental intake through the vehicle of food was recommended by the Dietary Guidelines for Americans 2010. So that is again, like we have PC and other things, the nutritional guidelines for Americans, they said they did not like the idea of taking the BFCs out of the food and making it into a non-food matrix. They say, why don't you give it as part of a food matrix? If you're not able to enrich the food, see, if you're not able to enrich the L-aspartic acid content of amla, make it like, give it along with food. So that gave impetus to a lot of research, and this term called original food matrix dynamics, original matrix dynamics. So what this means is, whatever BFD is there, the BFD, BFC, how it was in the original matrix. If you take resveratrol, how resveratrol was present in grapes, you see the link, ester linkages, ether linkages. If you see amla, gallic acid, and L-aspartic acid is a polyphenolic. So there are numerous glycosidic linkages to other compounds. So the key is glycosidic linkages. So try to give glycosidic linkages and incorporate it into a food. So then you will have a better food. So why this came about is, it is not just possible to take resveratrol and put it something and give. You have bioactivity won't be there, stability will not be there, shelf life will not be there. So with that idea, research into BFC's original matrix dynamics was supposed to guide their formulation to the new food matrix for improved stability, bioactivity, and bioavailability. Not only that, its physicochemical properties allow for synergistic, additive, antagonizing, neutralizing effect between nutrient and non-nutrient interactions, protecting the BFCs through the harsh environments of either food processing or drug processing or digestion. So you have a BFC, you just cannot take it and put it into a food matrix. By the time you give it inside, you see it is not all there, or it would have got degraded into inactive drug form, or it would have just get excreted. So to avoid this, they want you to, the OMD research says that incorporate it as it was there in the original matrix. So such structurally designed matrices may assist delivering the active components to the intended site of action within the body. So during our research at Ramachandra, so this one of our students were working on turmeric. So this, before we knew this, we were actually working on the matrix turmeric, and this paper was a great help and the reference associated with this. So designing functional foods with bioactive polyphenols, highlighting lessons learned from original plant matrices. So this paper from USA was a great impetus. You see, it is changing the way we look at herbs. So this concept of evaluation of original matrix dynamics highlights attention to supersaturated research on the purported bioactive such as curcumin. Purported means people are thinking that is a bioactive. See, turmeric is there. Everybody did research. How much time we have? Another 5 minutes, I think I'll be able to close. Is that okay?
Okay, ma'am, you can proceed.
Yeah, no. Yeah. So the turmeric curcumin is, so curcumin was supposed to be the bioactive constituent. They successfully isolated. That was a great success. They could make products out of it. And there was so much research on that. We'll come to that in the next slide. So curcumin and curcuminoids are the bioactive components of turmeric. We are not saying no. Its poor bioavailability redirects today research focus on the natural matrix turmeric. Why this is so? Original turmeric is better than curcumin. Is it a better functional food or a drug? Turmeric today is globally the most extensively used health supplement in cancer. What is turmeric made up of? It is about 60 to 70% carbohydrates, 6 to 30% water, 6 to 8 protein, 5 to 10 fat, 3 to 7 dietary minerals, essential oils, dietary fiber, and 1 to 6% curcuminoids. So people doing research on turmeric said, no, they look only at this 1 to 6% curcuminoids because all the rest is just waste, okay? Crap, we are not interested in that. Because they did research, they did in vitro research, in vivo research, and found that these curcuminoids have a lot of biological activity. So more than 4,000 papers were published on turmeric or curcumin, its purported active ingredient. Major papers are on curcumin. So, but curcumin, so much research was done, we find that it has poor solubility, low bioavailability. Means when you give curcumin, it is fecally excreted. It is not available in the systemic, okay? Extensive research, formulation research to improve the bioavailability of curcumin with addition of piperin, medium chain triglycerides, long chain triglycerides, turmeric essential oil. See, when you're processing turmeric, you process it and take the curcuminoids. And again, you go back to turmeric and see, you want something to use in your house. You take that and throw everything in the dustbin. And you go back to the dustbin and again you want something out of it. Go and take it. Again, go to the dustbin, take it. So that's what was done with turmeric. They went back, took the essential oil because they were trying to improve the bioavailability of curcumin. They absorbed it onto cyclodextrin matrix. All this for what? To popular industry research holds patents on enhanced bioavailable curcumin complexes. They want, it's a big market. Okay. But there came this research reporting curcumin as a pan-assay interference compound with low promise as a drug. A very big paper from USA said, see, all this research on curcumin is all waste. Okay, it's a pan-assay. Pan-assay interference means it's a compound which shows activity in everything, but really it will not show anything in vivo. And there is no much research on curcumin. It is very low promise. In fact, my PhD student did not get a DST funded project because we were working on turmeric. On the day she was presenting her proposal at New Delhi, she traveled all the way from Chennai to New Delhi. When she was presenting, this paper came and they said, no, there's no promise on curcumin. Therefore, we will not give you this project. So non-curcumin ingredients are also found to be bioactive. Then what is the point of focusing on curcumin? Is matrix effect in play? Is whole turmeric a better natural matrix? So that is a hypothesis. Not only with turmeric, I've given an example. This could be the research idea for don't focus on the active ingredient. If you're focusing on the matrix, now that's a totally different ballgame. How you have to play is totally different. So our clinical study on turmeric paclitaxel interaction. So this was we just got completed 18-19. She submitted her PhD. So at Medical Oncology Department of Sri Ramchandra Medical College and Research Institute. Just an example of this study. There are other clinical studies, which one more study is now underway. It is going on. So this, what we saw what is the effect of turmeric supplementation when you give it to breast cancer patients taking paclitaxel. It's an anti-cancer drug. What does turmeric do to the pharmacokinetics? So this was, we're using WinOnline software, POPPK modeling study. It was a prospective consecutive case series study on stage 3 CA breast patients on neoadjuvant paclitaxel monotherapy. That was the only drug they were taking. So to cut long story short, after a 4.5-5 year study, we reported a statistically significant drop in plasma paclitaxel concentrations. Patients who are taking turmeric along with paclitaxel, their plasma paclitaxel concentration showed a statistically significant drop. There was an improvement in the quality of life. Hematological parameters also improved following just a 21-day administration of turmeric between 2 cycles of paclitaxel administration. So that was a significant finding. Considering the projected reduced life expectancy following cancer diagnosis, establishing the beneficial modulation or the matrix effect of turmeric in breast cancer is of great worth. Not just saying turmeric is good. No, you need proof. You need a paper. You need a publication. You need research. Simply saying, no, this is good is not going to work. You need to generate such kind of research to actually stand behind you. This is opening up multiple avenues on turmeric-based drugs supplement market. So these are 2 of our papers, very high impact papers that came out of that, and the candidate was almost literally called for to join the pharmacometrics team of a big multinational. Today she's doing great. So summarizing, exponentially growing market for functional foods, nutraceuticals in the wake of COVID has launched the pharma into the nutrition market. The market demand and relatively lower investment drives corporate pharma into mergers and acquisitions, expanding their consumer healthcare portfolio to include functional foods. The competitive landscape between the 2 sectors vying for the huge market is expected to herald innovative products, hopefully also potentializing on a rich traditional medicine legacy. Research focus needs to be on lateral perspectives, not just regular isolating a molecule like that, to time-tested herbal drugs, recasting them into the global market, this time backed by evidence-based proof of their beneficial matrix effect in the health-disease equation. So with that, I conclude my talk. Thank you everyone for your patient listening. Are there any questions?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your valuable speech.
Yeah, I'll mute.
Dear participants, if you have any queries, madam ready to answer you.
Good morning, madam. This is Revan Sitappa calling from SVT College of Pharmacy, Humnabad. Am I audible, madam?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yes, madam. Actually, we want to develop nutraceuticals. So how about the evolution parameters for this?
For what nutraceutical?
Evolution parameters.
Yeah, evaluation parameters for nutraceuticals is like depending on what matrix you are taking. If it is a matrix, let us say turmeric, we did the evaluation also. Evaluation is when you should be able to, evaluation is not, you should be able to identify the BFC, and you should have a method of identifying the BFC in the matrix, and post administration, whether you are doing a cell culture study, whether you're doing an in vivo study, it's just like anything else. Only thing is you need to take your focus not on the active ingredient but on the matrix. You need to think out of the box. So like we did for turmeric, see, normally what they'll do in a clinical study is they will give turmeric and see how much turmeric is in the plasma. We know curcumin has very poor bioavailability. If you look for curcumin, there's not going to be any curcumin in the patient's plasma. Instead, we look at the paclitaxel concentrations. So what we have given turmeric and we looked at plasma paclitaxel concentration. So the matrix turmeric has brought about effect. So that's one kind of way you put your study and have answered your question. That's how you evaluate what you're proposing.
Okay, madam. Okay. Thank you for your information, madam.
Yeah.
Okay, understood, madam. Thank you for suggesting.
Yeah. How do you go back? I thought not all audience have gone to sleep or something. That's okay. Yeah, I'll come back to this.
Sir, my request is, sir.
Sir, you are audible. You can proceed.
Yes, I'm asking generally for you, sir, hosting. So you can give time up to evening for feedback, sir. My request is, because in work hours, we'll unable to concentrate after seminar. We are having classes and all other works. So if it is up to evening, it's good.
Yes,
My
yes,
view.
sir. Yes, we are giving attendance link, so you can upload it evening time.
No, sir. Feedback we can give up to evening. No problem.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your valuable speech and the knowledge about food nutrition.
Participants, if you have any queries, you can ask madam. Or you can type your question in the chat box.
Dear participants, if you have any queries, you can unmute yourself and you can ask the question.
Madam?
Yeah, shall I?
Thank you, madam, for enlightening our
Please unmute yourself. Your voice is not audible.
sharing your knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I exit now. I'm exiting. And
Madam, if there are any queries, I'll just post to you, madam.
yeah, right. Okay,
thank you very much, madam, for accepting our invitation and supporting us in many aspects for smooth conduct of this faculty development program.
Yeah.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah, thank you, one and all. Bye-bye.
Dear participants, the next session by Siddheshwar sir. It will be start within 5 minutes.
Sir, name? Usha? Join 10:40 kada join అవుతాను అన్నారు సార్. 5 minutes వెయిట్ చేద్దాము సార్ జాయిన్ అవ్వగానే స్టార్ట్ అవుతుందని అనౌన్స్. సార్ గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ అండి, కరుణశ్రీ సార్. సార్ మన స్టూడెంట్స్ మన ప్రాజెక్ట్ పరంగా యాంటీ మైక్రోబియల్ యాక్టివిటీ కోసం శాంపిల్స్ ఇచ్చారు పైన. అయితే వాళ్ళకి రిజల్ట్స్ ఇచ్చారంటే కానీ దాంట్లో ఫొటోస్ కూడా కావాలి వాళ్ళకి, పెట్రీ ప్లేట్స్ ని. ఓకే.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
We welcome you on behalf of KVSR Siddhartha Pharmaceutical Sciences. One week online FDP program, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sir, shall we start?
Yeah. So the first speaker is talk is over.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just now.
Okay.
Sir, now you are co-host. You can share your.
Shall I share my presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
A small introduction.
So I'm not able to share my presentation. Can you make me host?
Yes, sir. I did. Now check once.
Okay, now it's done. Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Sir, good afternoon, Siddheshwar sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
Welcome to our faculty development program, sir.
Thank you very much for the inviting me actually, and very thankful to the organizing committee.
It's our pleasure to have you in our program, sir. And this is the 4th day of the program, sir.
Okay. So shall I start?
1 minute, sir. 1 minute.
Okay.
Sushant?
Yes, ma'am.
Sushant, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, introduction now.
So I welcome you for the second session of today. Dr. Siddheshwar Chowdhury, sir. Sir, now working as assistant professor at NIPER, Department of Natural Products. Sir did B Pharmacy at NDMUP, Samaj College of Pharmacy. Masters from NIPER in the Department of Natural Products, PhD on Natural Products from NIPER. And then he worked as a Research and Development Officer at Semi Labs Limited, Bangalore. 2015 to 2016, he worked as a Research Associate at Piramal Life Sciences. 2012 to 14, he worked as the Assistant Manager, Pharmaceutical R&D, GSK India. 2014 to 15, he worked as a Research Specialist on India postdoc, Water Center for Innovations for Metabolomics, University, USA. From 2016 to 19, he worked as a Research Investigator, Bicon BMS or Research and Development Center. And he worked as a Senior Research Investigator, Bicon BMS or Research and Development Center, Bangalore. Now he's working as Assistant Professor, Department of Natural Products, NIPER, Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Coming to the honors and awards. 2016, he got a BVRC Bravo Award for developing LCMS-based preparative HPLC method development approach. And 2014, he got a NIH Common Found Metabolomics Initiative worth of $1,000 travel award to attend second annual UAB workshop on metabolomics. 2012 to 13, 3 GlaxoSmithKline Bravo Award for successfully driving various research and development projects. 2012, he won the $8,800 Innocentive Award for the solving the innovative challenges entitled Process Mass Intensities, sponsored by Mark Pharmaceuticals. In 2006 to 18, he worked as a junior research fellowship. He got a junior research fellowship. 2008 to 2010, he got a senior research fellowship, Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, India. 2010 to 12, he got a senior research fellowship, Council of CSIR, Ministry of Science and Technology, India. Sir published more than 10 publications in reputed journals. And Sir is the author for one book chapter, which is Drug Discovery and Evaluation, Pharmacological Assays, Quantitative Metabolomics. Sir got it 2 patents. Sir had more than 10 poster presentation at various topics. This is all about introduction about Sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your kind introduction. So with your permission, madam, can we start the discussion?
Sir, you can proceed, sir.
I'm not able to hear you.
So you can proceed, sir. You can start your session.
Shall I start?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So today I'm going to discuss about a very important topic related to herbal medicine. Basically, we all know that herbal medicines are very, very popular in India as well as in many developing countries. If you look into the WHO statistics, then you will come to know that 70% of the developing population actually using traditional medicine. Even in India also, if you see, most of the people prefer using the herbal medicine than the allopathic medicine. So we have like a vast knowledge of traditional medicines like our Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha medicines are there. We have this long tradition of this traditional system of medicines. But there are several challenges that are also associated with the traditional medicines. So today what we are going to see is that like what are those challenges and what are the different quality aspects developed in the different herbal pharmacopoeia and what are the different guidelines set by the World Health Organization. Okay. Then we'll also be discussing about the regulatory aspects of the herbal medicine in India and abroad. Okay, so initially I'll be discussing about the different herbal pharmacopoeias. So I will discuss, actually give more stress on the WHO herbal monograph, its content. Okay, then I will give more stress on the Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia India. Then we'll discuss about the different guidelines of just set by the WHO on good manufacturing practice and quality control of herbal medicine. And finally, we'll cover the different regulations of herbal medicine in India, Europe, USA, Canada, and rest of the world. Like in India, this Europe, USA, and Canada, here also the herbal medicines are very popular. So different countries have different regulations. So we'll be covering those regulations in our upcoming slides. Now coming to the herbal pharmacopoeia, everybody knows about what is meant by pharmacopoeia. Pharmacopoeia is like an official book which has information about the sample and preparation of a compound medicine. So this is like a authoritative book published by the government agencies, right? So herbal pharmacopoeia is like a similar to like our Indian pharmacopoeia. What everybody knows about Indian pharmacopoeia. Like Indian pharmacopoeia has a information about the different monographs of a pharmaceutical API. So similar way, herbal pharmacopoeia is having the monographs of a herbal crude API. Okay. So herbal pharmacopoeia contains the information about the crude herbal drugs as well as in the final formulations. So basically, it covers the nomenclature, part used, particularly which herbal part is used, constituents, range of applications, contraindication, side effects, incompatibilities with other medications, dosage use, and action of the herbs. So why pharmacopoeia is necessary? Because pharmacopoeia is like a reference guide for all the researchers who are working for the development of a herbal medicine, as well as for the industries who are involved in the manufacture of a herbal medicine. So for such people, this is a kind of a reference book. Okay. Suppose any manufacturer who want to manufacture herbal medicine in India, but using particular herbal API, then they need to follow the Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia standards. Okay, they need to comply with the Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia standards of India. Then only they will get the license for manufacture as well as distribution of that medicine in India. Okay, so pharmacopoeia is like an official book given by the government authority, which need to be followed when developing the herbal medicines. So in India, there are several herbal pharmacopoeias are there in the world. Like the one we are going to discuss is the WHO herbal pharmacopoeia. Then apart from that, Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia of India, Chinese herbal pharmacopoeia, British herbal pharmacopoeia, Japanese herbal pharmacopoeia, USP herbal medicine compendium, African herbal pharmacopoeia. So several countries have their own herbal pharmacopoeia. So in this case, if you see that WHO herbal pharmacopoeia was developed initially, and then means like why WHO developed the herbal pharmacopoeia? Because there were many developing countries were there which were not having any quality standards. So they didn't have any reference book to refer for the herbal medicine. So that is the reason WHO developed their own pharmacopoeia, which can be used as a reference guide for developing herbal medicine in the developed country or newly independent states. So if you see, compare all these herbal pharmacopoeia, the Chinese herbal pharmacopoeia is considered as the most advanced one. Why it is considered as the most advanced one? Because Chinese pharmacopoeia actually incorporated new technologies, new analytical technologies, hyphenated technologies for quality, setting the standards of a quality of herbal medicines. They have adopted LCMS, then HPLC, GC. So all these hyphenated analytical techniques they are adopted very well in maintaining the quality of herbal medicine. So the monographs, whatever mentioned in Chinese herbal pharmacopoeia, are very thorough monographs. They have a very good information about the different herbal API, their quality standards, and very good analytical methods are there using high-end instruments. So in this case, some of these pharmacopoeias are actually free available on the internet. Some of them are paid. Like American Herbal Pharmacopoeia is like a paid herbal pharmacopoeia. But USP Herbal Medicine Compendium, which is like a free source. So you can, the good thing is about USP Herbal Medicine Compendium is that it has several monographs of an Indian medicine plant. So if you want to work on any Indian medicine plant, you can go to the USP Herbal Medicine Compendium site and you can download a particular monograph. So there you will get very good information about that particular medicine plants, its quality standards. So we'll discuss about like a WHO herbal monographs. Like WHO actually started publishing the herbal monographs from 1999 onward, and from that 1999 onward till 2009, they published 4 different volumes of the herbal monographs. Okay. So why it was published? The reason was there were very newly independent states were there, and there were a lot of countries were there, which are means like there were a lot of Eastern Europe and Central Europe countries were there, which didn't have the like standards for herbal medicine. So to bring the harmony in quality control use of herbal medicine in this newly independent state as well as Central European states, WHO published the herbal pharmacopoeia. So this pharmacopoeia actually developed as a guideline for developing the quality, safety, and efficacy of these medicine plants. So the WHO Herbal Pharmacopoeia provides the scientific information on safety, efficacy, quality control, and quality assurance of widely used medicine plants in order to facilitate their appropriate use in member state. It also assists the member state in developing their own monographs or formulas for those with other herbal medicines. And it helps to facilitate the exchange of information among the member states. So according to WHO format, if you see the format of the herbal monograph in WHO, the first part contains actually pharmacological summaries of the quality assurance of the herbal medicine. And second part contains about the information on medicine uses, pharmacology, safety issues, and dosage form. So we will see the actually overall content of the herbal monograph of the WHO. So the first means it has a different several headings. The first heading is definition. So definition about the herbal crude drugs. What kind of drugs we are discussing the herbal monograph. Then synonym. So sometimes we find that some herbal plants have more than one botanical name. So all synonyms are provided in the herbal monograph. Then selected vernacular names. Means like vernacular names means in local language. The different names are there for the particular plant species. So those vernacular names are also captured in the monograph. Then the geographical distribution of that plant, like from which area particularly that plant belongs to. Like, because you know that some plants are endemic, some are endemic in nature. So they grow only in particular region. So that information is captured here in geographical distribution. Then description of the plant. Then the detailed description is given about the plant material of interest. Means what kind of material we are using, like whether are we using dried shoots, leaf, bud, flower, fruits. That all details is organoleptic properties, macroscopic characteristics or informations are given in the plant material of interest under that heading. Then general identity test, means some physicochemical tests are given for identification of that particular plant species. Purity test. So purity test, we all know that for herbal material, several purity tests are given, particularly like for inorganic matter, total ash, acid insoluble ash, water soluble extractive value, loss on drying, swelling index, foaming index, heavy metal. So this all purity tests are captured in the particular herbal monograph, and their specific limits are captured. Means for particular plant species, what is the limit specified? Like for how much swelling index limit is there for a particular plant species, how much loss on drying is limit is there. So that all limits are captured under purity test. Chemical assay. So here in this case, the plant materials are standardized with using a particular chemical markers. So specific chemical markers are taken, and then using analytical method, the plant material or crude extract is standardized. So that information is captured under the chemical assays. Then information about the major chemical constituents, medicinal uses, Means like the medicine uses, again here the medicine uses captured are based on the clinical study, and as well as the medicine uses based on the traditional use. So both these uses are captured under different heading. The data supported by the clinical use and the data supported by the traditional use. Then pharmacological information, the experimental pharmacology, like whether this particular plants have the anti-inflammatory, anti-tussive activity. So based on experimental pharmacology, that whatever are there in the current literature that are captured in the particular monographs. Contraindications, warning, precautions, adverse reaction, dosage form, posology. So all information about a particular herbal crude API is captured in WHO herbal monograph. So this information is like very useful for those member states as well as the Central European countries, and they can use this format for developing their own herbal pharmacopoeia. Now coming to the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India. So everybody knows about Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India. So this is like a official book which publish information about the quality, purity, and strength of a selected herbal drugs, selected medicinal herbal drugs, I will say, which are manufactured throughout the India. So who published this book? So this herbal pharmacopoeia are published by Pharmacological Commission of India, Indian Medicines. Earlier, now it is the Pharmacological Commission of Indian Medicine and Homeopathy. So this is actually a commission which works under the Ministry of Ayush. So this commission actually prepare the herbal Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India, and they have the whole rights to distribute the copy of Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India. So all the quality aspect or inclusion of the monograph and setting up the standards in Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India are controlled by the Pharmacological Commission of Indian Medicine and Homeopathy, and which works under the Ministry of Ayush. So this Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia actually has two parts. Part 1 contains the crude herbal API monograph, and the part 2 contains the formulation, herbal formulation. So from where this herbal formulation has been taken? That these herbal formulations have been taken from the schedule, from the classical Ayurvedic text, which are mentioned in the Schedule 1 of the Drug and Cosmetic Act. So whatever Ayurvedic formulations what we see in the current market, those all Ayurvedic formulations are actually taken from the classical Ayurvedic text like Charak Samhita or Charak Sushrita. So this information was there in the classical Ayurvedic text, and that information has been captured about their preparation and their content in the second part of Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia, that is having a formulation part. So in particularly initially when Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia was developed, the first book that was developed was Ayurvedic Formula of India, and it was published in 1978. Then first volume of Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia was published in 1989. So total till now 985 compound formulations of Ayurveda and 540 monographs of a crude herbal API have been captured in the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India. So along with that, there are some additional books are also there which are published by the Pharmacological Commission of India, which support the quality testing of a herbal drugs, crude herbal drugs, which are mentioned in Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India. Those books are called as a Thin Layer Chromatography Atlas, Microscopy or Microscopic Atlas, and Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India. So what are these Thin Layer Chromatography Atlas? Actually, Thin Layer Chromatography Atlas has the thin layer chromatographic pictures of a crude herbal API. Means whatever optimized TLC systems are there, and their these systems and these TLC systems, and then they are derived with different derivative agents. So that pictures are actually captured in this thin layer chromatography atlas. So that say TLC picture could serve as a reference standard for maintaining the quality of a crude herbal API. And it also has the information about the microscopy and microscopy. So if the crude material is there, then microscopic analysis has been done to see whether the surface characteristics, size, shapes are proper as per the standard, and microscopic characteristics are done for the powder material. So that information is captured in this microscopy and microscopy atlas. So that information is also useful for maintaining the quality of a crude herbal API. So now coming to the WHO guidelines. So why WHO come up with the herbal guidelines? The WHO come up with herbal guidelines because WHO has realized that that herbal medicines are very popular, and most of the developing and developed countries are relying on the herbal medicine. But there are some issues with the herbal medicine in respect to their quality, and because of the contamination from the adulterated source, as well as contamination because of the residual solvent or pesticides or heavy metal. So that is the reason WHO come up with some guidelines which are helpful for evaluation of the herbal medicine as well as setting the quality standards. And several guidelines have been published by the WHO starting from 1999 to till recently, very recently. Several guidelines have been published and they are updated every year. So what are those guidelines? So 1991, WHO come up with the guidelines for assessment of herbal medicines. So what is mean by these guidelines? So these guidelines actually basically discuss about what are the different criteria which can be utilized for assessing the quality of a herbal medicine. So that comes in 1991. After that, in 1993, WHO come up with another guidelines for research guidelines for evaluating the safety and efficacy of a herbal medicine. So this was another problem, like what WHO realized, that we believe that herbal medicines are safe, but not all herbal medicines are safe. If it is not prepared properly, if the quality of the source material is not properly maintained, then the herbal medicine might show some toxicity also, and it may affect the efficacy also. So for evaluating the safety and efficacy of this herbal medicine, WHO come up with the research guidelines in 1993. In 1998, WHO come up with the guidelines for the appropriate use of herbal medicine. I mean, like how much amount of herbal medicine we need to use and in what condition we need to use the herbal medicine. So that guidelines have come up in 1998. And again, in 1998, WHO come up with another guidelines for quality control methods of a medicine plant material. So before going for a final formulation, we need to maintain the quality of a crude plant material. So there are several tests that need to be done on the crude plant material to make sure that it is devoid of any foreign matter, it is devoid of any residual solvent or any pesticides, or it is not having any harmful microorganism. So that all tests and that methodology have been captured in the quality control methods of a herbal medicine plant guideline, which was published in 1998. Then in subsequent year, WHO come up with several guidelines on good agriculture and cultivation practices, that good manufacturing practices, and then guidelines for assessing the quality of herbal medicine with reference to contaminant and residues. So several different guidelines have come, and all these guidelines are actually helping different member states as well as different developing countries for developing the standards of herbal medicines. Now we'll look for a couple of these guidelines, like what is the content of these guidelines and what these guidelines talks about. That we'll discuss in the subsequent slides. So as per the WHO, or as per what is herbal medicine? So herbal medicine, there is a specific definition for herbal medicine. So as per the WHO, or as per the guidelines, that herbal medicine is a finished product or label medicine product that contains as an active ingredient of aerial or underground parts of the plant or other plant material or combination thereof, whether in the crude state or as a plant preparation. The plant material includes juices, gums, fatty oils, essential oil, any other substance of this nature. Herbal medicine may contain excipient in addition to the active ingredient. So what we understood from this definition, that herbal medicine could be prepared from any part of the plant. It could be juices, it could be gums, it could be fatty acid or essential oils. Okay, or it is a combination of different plant material. And it can also contain a excipient in addition to the active ingredient. So this is the definition of herbal medicine. So what is not herbal medicine? It is also mentioned in the guideline. A medicine containing a plant material combined with a chemically defined active substance, include chemically defined isolated constituents of the plant, are not considered to be herbal medicine. Means suppose if you have an enriched extract of a chemically of a particular marker, like let us take example of a Vidania somnifera. Everybody knows Vidania somnifera, right? Suppose the active constituent of the Vidania somnifera is vidanol. So suppose if you prepare a standardized extract of a Vidania somnifera, which is enriched with the vidanaloids, and then you are claiming some particular activity, but that activity, that formulation will not come under the herbal medicine category. It will come under a herbal medicine derived product category, but not herbal medicine category, because it is a purified form of herbal medicine. Okay, so that kind of formulations comes under different category, and it requires very different types of testing also for checking its efficacy and toxicity. So all these kind of chemically modified active substances or isolated pure constituents of herbal medicine are not considered as a herbal medicine. So the objective of this guideline is to define a basic criteria for evaluating the quality, safety, and efficacy of herbal medicine, and to assist the national regulatory authorities, scientific organizations, and manufacturing to manufacture the quality medicines. So what are the different assessment criteria under these guidelines? The first thing is that pharmaceutical assessment. So when we talk about herbal medicine, we should assess the herbal medicine based on, when we talk about the crude plant material, we should assess the crude plant material according to the official monograph of that crude plant material. So when suppose if you are taking preparing a herbal formulation of Vidania somnifera, then you should refer the Vidania somnifera crude herbal API monograph. So whatever quality standards are there for crude herbal API API of the Vidania somnifera, that has to be followed as per the for the pharmaceutical assessment of a herbal medicine. Now coming to the crude plant material. So we should have the correct identification of the plant material. Very important, because many times if we don't have expertise in identification of the plant material, we misidentify the plant material, and that will lead to adulteration in the final formulation, or it may show some different types of toxicity if we do not have the current identification of the plant material. Then we should have a complete description of the plant material used in the medicine. We should give the details of active and characteristic constituents when we talk about the crude plant material. So what are the different active constituents and what are the different characteristic active constituents? That information should be provided when we talk about the assessment of a herbal medicine. Plant preparation. The manufacturing process should be described in detail. Details of active constituent if possible. Otherwise, a chromatographic fingerprinting of active constituents should be done. Means now we have taken the crude plant material. So if suppose if you don't have the information of the active constituent, then you should go for the chromatographic fingerprinting. So what it means by chromatographic fingerprinting? Is chromatographic fingerprinting is separating the different component of the crude herbal API using a different analytical technique, like suppose HPLC or GC or LCMS. Okay, so we develop a chromatographic fingerprinting, and when we try to see like what are the different components present in a particular crude herbal API, and then once we develop a standard chromatographic fingerprinting, we use the same chromatographic fingerprinting for the subsequent batches of that particular plant material. Now coming to the finished product, the manufacturing process and formula, including the amount of expense, should be described in detail. Method for identification, wherever possible, contextual plant material in the finished product should be done. So in the finished product also, if suppose if you know the active constituents, if you know the marker constituent, you should have develop a proper method, standardized method, which can be used to quantify the marker constituent in the finished product. Stability. So when you talk about the stability, so like we all know that we perform the stability for the general pharmaceutical preparation, right? We know the different criteria for stability, like long-term stability, short-term stability, asset stability. So similar way for phyto herbal compounds also, we need to done the stability studies. So generally, two types of stability studies are recommended, like long-term stability studies and like asset stability studies. So asset stability studies are done on 40 degrees Celsius temperature and 75% relative humidity. And long-term stability studies are done on like a 30 degrees Celsius temperature and 65% relative humidity condition. So 3 to 6 month stability studies are recommended, and the stability studies should be done in the final products. The final product means like a final container. So whichever container you are going to use for preparing that herbal medicine final container, So final stability study should be done in that final container. So that we should make sure that the product is stable during the shelf life of that particular product. The safety assessment, toxicological study, then efficacy and other studies should be done as per the whatever standard protocol available or as per the standard methods available in the different monographs. So whatever products we are developing, so once you finish the product manufacturing, the product labeling is also very important. The labeling should also have all the information about that product, about its qualitative and quantitative list of active ingredient, its dosage form, whether it is in tablet form or capsule form, its indication, then its mode of administration, duration of use, overdose information, and its use in during pregnancy and lactation, expiry date, lot number. So all that detail has to be provided in the particular herbal products. So as per the guidelines, it is recommended that when you develop a herbal product, you should have all this information on the label of herbal medicine itself, so that the quality of the herbal medicine can be ascertained by the consumers. Now coming to the next guidelines on quality control method of herbal medicine, which comes in 2011, that talks about the different quality aspect of herbal medicine. So WHO realized that quality issues are the important issues in herbal medicine. So because of quality issues, people are getting the adverse effect. People are then because of quality issues, people are not getting the consistent therapeutic effect. So why these quality issues, quality control is important, and what are the factors which affect the quality of herbal medicine? So we all know that like crude herbal APIs, they grow in different parts of a geographical location, right? So depending upon the climatic condition, soil condition, the active content of the crude herbal API varies, because the secondary metabolite concentration in the crude herbal API varies because of the climatic condition, depending upon the stress condition in the environment. So suppose if you are taking a particular herbal plant material from southern part of India, and the same plant material you are taking from the northern part of India, you will see that there is huge difference in the amount of secondary metabolite present in both the plant material. So generally we consider that the secondary metabolites are actually responsible for the activity of a particular herbal material. So if the content is varying in different herbal plant material, then obviously the efficacy will also vary. The toxicity profile will also vary. So if you want to prepare any particular herbal medicine from this crude herbal API, we need to make sure that whatever crude herbal API, whatever we are using, that should have the consistent active concentration of the active chemical constituents. And how we can maintain that? We can maintain that by controlling the cultivation process or maintaining the agriculture collection and processing process. Okay, so that maintenance is very important to make sure that there is not much variation in the active chemical content of the crude herbal API. Another problem is that because of deforestation, lot of herbal trees, or you can say a lot of medicine plants are actually on the verge of extinction because of deforestation. So many manufacturers are there, they're struggling to get the raw material for the particular herbal medicine. So such people generally they will adulterate with similar kind of material, and because of that adulteration or substitution, the efficacy and safety is completely changed for a particular formulation. So this is another aspect. Sometimes now the herbal medicines are actually manufactured in the industrial scale. So the processing is done in very huge scale. So during the processing itself, sometimes some artifacts are formed. Some herbal crude APIs are getting degraded and they're forming some artifacts. And these artifacts can also have some different kind of efficacy and safety. So that will also affect the quality of herbal medicine. So to avoid this problem and of quality control, we need to have a set standards for maintaining the quality of herbal medicine. So that is the reason WHO come up with the guidelines for developing the methods for quality control of a herbal medicine. And once we develop these guidelines, once we follow these guidelines very strictly, then that will give the wide recognition for the herbal medicines. So you all know that like in India, herbal medicine is very popular. But if the same medicine, suppose if you want to export to regulated market like Europe or USA, then those market will never accept our Indian herbal medicine products. The reason being is because of the lack of quality controls, because of lack of quality standards. So if you develop a proper quality standards, quality methods, then the acceptability will be there more in the Western countries or more regulated market. So that is the reason the quality methods or quality control of herbal medicines is very, very important. So what are the different parameters that WHO has recommended under this guideline that we'll see in the subsequent slides? So WHO has recommended that we should do the test for the foreign matter. So what is foreign matter? Foreign matter is any material which is apart from the specified herbal material. It could be mold, it could be insect, it could be like maybe soil content or some. So any sand material, that all considered as a foreign matter, which is not a herbal material, which is a like specified herbal matter, that is called as a foreign matter. So that limit or the determination of foreign matter is very important for maintaining the quality of a herbal medicine. Then microscopic and microscopic examination means like when we identify the plant, we need to do the microscopic as well as microscopic examination to make sure that we are using the right species. Okay. Then next quality assessment test is thin layer chromatography. So using thin layer chromatography, we can separate different components or different active constituents of a crude herbal API, and we can visually see those active constituents, and we can compare different batches visually using thin layer chromatography. So as you can see in the right hand side of this slide, this is example here, like 3 different species are there. From Hypericum perfectum, Hypericum maculatum, and Hypericum maculatum. So in this case, you can see that hyperoside is active constituent here, protein and hyperoside. So the content is vary in different species and different plant material. So with the help of TLC, we can visualize and we can very easily check the quality of the crude herbal material with the help of TLC. So we need to develop a proper TLC system and proper visualization system using proper derivatizing agent so that we can visually check the quality of the herbal medicines. The next test that recommended is ash value, like as acid value, acid insoluble ash or water soluble ash value. Extractable matters. So extractable matter is also very important. Like if you take a particular amount of crude herbal API, suppose 1 kg of herbal API, and if you do the hot, suppose aqueous extraction of that 1 kg of herbal material, how much amount of crude herbal extract it will produce? That has to be constant, and there has to be some limits for that, specified limits for that. So if a particular herbal API, if it's not having, if you suppose if you don't know the active constituents of a herbal API, then this test proved to be very useful. If you know the active constituent, then you can directly test the concentration of the active constituent using different analytical techniques. But if you don't know the active constituent, then you can use this extractable matter test to, and you can specify the limit. This much of extractive value I'm expecting from this plant material. If I'm not getting this much of extractive value, then it might be not the right plant material, or it might not be the right process to process the extraction of that plant material. So we need to set some limits, and that limit is actually specified in these guidelines. Then we need to like particularly also make sure that the whatever crude herbal material we are using, that should have a proper water and moisture content and volatile matter. If more water content is there, then the crude herbal material will be susceptible for microbial growth, and that will further degrade the plant material. So the water content and volatile oil contents is very important, and that limit has to be specified. Suppose if your crude herbal API is having essential oil plant material, then the amount of oil present in that essential oil, that limit can also be specified. And we can determine the amount of oil present using the steam distillation techniques. Then there are several other tests are there, like bitterness value, hemolytic value. So this bitterness value actually tells the how much of, so the most of the herbal materials are having bitter taste. So generally the bitter taste will stimulate the gastric juice secretion. Okay. So we can optimize that bitterness value also. Like, let us take example of a Tinospora cardifolia. So Tinospora cardifolia is very popular drugs, like everybody knows, right? And this Tinospora cardifolia extract is having very bitter taste. So suppose if you don't know the active constituent present in a Tinospora cardifolia, so what you can do, you can standardize your extract with the limit of the bitterness value. So you can set the limit of bitterness value using the standard solution of a quinine hydrochloride. You can take the standard solution of quinine hydrochloride, and then compared to that standard, how much bitterness value is there for the extract, that we can determine, and that value we can specify for particular herbal drugs. So that bitterness, if suppose Tinospora cardifolia extract if you are taking, then you can say that not less than 5% of the total bitter principles, or not more than 10% of the total bitter principles present in the Tinospora cardifolia. So you can standardize this Tinospora cardifolia extract with respect to its bitterness value. Then there are other tests are there, like hemolytic activity and hemolytic activity. So hemolytic activities are generally done for the plants which having the saponin contents. So saponins are responsible for the hemolytic conditions that they can break the RBCs. So that hemolytic activity of the crude plant material need to be specified, otherwise it will show toxicity. Then another test like tannins, swelling index, foaming index, pesticide residue. So all these three tests are specified depending upon the type of material we are using. If our plant contains the suppose gums are there, then swelling index test can be determined. If our plant contains the saponin and it is forming certain foam, then we can determine the foamic index. If our plant contains the tannins, then we can determine the total tannin content of a medicine. So all these tests can be performed and their limits can be specified according to the guidelines. So next guidelines is for the heavy metals. So we know that arsenic is there in environment very abundantly. So there is an obvious chance that the arsenic might be present in the crude herbal API also. So in that case, since arsenic is very toxic herbal material, toxic heavy metal, so we need to identify the amount of arsenic present in the herbal API, and we need to specify its limit. Okay. The next test is the microorganism test. So our herbal material should not have any harmful microorganism. So we need to test the herbal material using some microbiological test and find out how much of different types of microbes are there. Are there any harmful microbes are there, like E. coli and all? And if it is there, then that limit has to be specified. Other tests are like aflatoxins. Aflatoxins like B1, B2, G2, and G1. These are very, very potent toxic chemical constituents present sometimes in the plant. If these aflatoxins are present in the crude herbal API, it will create a severe toxicity in the final formulation. So before taking the crude herbal API to the final formulation, we need to make sure that it does not have a aflatoxin content. So certain tests are there, like based on HPLC and fluorescent detection method, which can detect all the aflatoxins, and we can specify the limit of these aflatoxins. Then another contaminant that which is very rarely observed in herbal material is radioactive contamination. So sometimes, because of nuclear accidents, this radioactive material will come in the environment, and that can manifest the crude herbal API. So the limit for this radioactive contamination need to be assessed, and there are certain regulatory agencies are there. So we need to take the permission from this agency to perform this test. So now we saw the two guidelines. Initially, we saw the guidelines on the quality assessment of herbal medicines. Then we saw the guidelines on the quality control of herbal medicines, and then we saw the different tests recommended by the WHO. What are the tests that we can incorporate to maintain the quality of herbal medicine. Now we'll see the guidelines on the good manufacturing practices of herbal medicines. And why it is necessary? Because if we follow the good manufacturing practice of medicines, we can make sure that herbal medicines are devoid of any adulteration or any contamination during manufacturing process. And we can make sure that it will show the similar efficacy and batch to batch reproducibility. If the good manufacturing practices are not followed, then there is high chance that herbal medicine may get contaminated during the manufacturing process itself. So there has to be robust methods, quality control and quality assurance methods has to be robust, so that whatever steps we follow in the production, starting from the sourcing of the crude plant herbal material to the final formulation, so each step should be critically analyzed, should be critically assessed for the contamination as well as concentration of the active constituents. So if our manufacturing process is not robust or not properly maintained, then there is a chance that our active constituent may get degraded during manufacturing process itself. So we need to assess the concentration of the active constituent in each and every step during the manufacturing process. So we should have the several parameters well established in the good manufacturing practice, which can be used for maintaining the quality of the medicine. So what are those that we see in these guidelines? The first thing is that quality assurance of the manufacture of herbal medicines. So like how we can do this quality assurance? So we can do this using different analytical techniques like HPLC, GC, HPLC, and mass spectrometry. So once we use this technique, we can characterize the plant material with respect to its marker component. And we can check the concentration of this marker constituent in the different stages of the processing of the plant material manufacturing stage. So if it is maintaining the same concentration of the active constituent, then we can say that the quality assurance is following. If the quality assurance is not following, if any stage, suppose if it is not showing the same concentration as has to be there in the crude plant material, then it indicates that the plant material is degrading. So the quality assurance criteria has to be developed properly during the manufacturing of a herbal medicine. Second criteria is sanitation and hygiene. So high level of sanitation and hygiene should be maintained so that there should not be any contamination during the manufacturing of the medicines. Then qualification and validation. Suppose if you're synthesizing manufacturing any herbal medicine where the active constituents of a herbal medicines are not known or therapeutic active constituents are not known, in that case, how will maintain the quality and efficacy and batch to batch reproducibility? So in that case, you need to maintain the extraction time, temperature, and solvent purity. So as well as the quality of the crude herbal material. So if you maintain these 3 to 4 parameters consistently, then you can make sure that batch to batch reproducibility could be possible if the therapeutic active constituents are not known. Then there should be mechanism to address the complaints. Means suppose there might be possible that once you manufacture the product and the product is there in the market, and then consumers observe some complaints of a particular product. So the manufacturer should have some mechanism to address these complaints. So there can be 2 types of complaints: product quality complaint or adverse reaction related complaints. So if any product related complaints are there, then manufacturer need to assess their manufacturing protocols, their manufacturing batch to batch manufacturing records to see whether anything wrong has been happened during the manufacturing of the product. And if suppose if any adverse reaction or event related complaints are there, then that has to be that has to be communicated to regulatory authorities. And then certain guidelines are given again for this, like WHO guidelines for safety monitoring of herbal medicine in pharmacovigilance system. So this guidelines talks about the pharmacovigilance of a herbal medicine. Means once herbal medicines are there in the market, as we say that is phase 4 testing particularly. So we need to see whether we need to assess the efficacy and toxicity profile of this herbal medicine once it is there in the market, when people are consuming the medicine. So if there are any complaints from the any adverse events are there from the patient side or from the consumer side, that has to be taken very seriously and should be informed regulatory authority immediately. Then if any batch is having any defect, then the manufacturer should have the product recall mechanism set up. And whatever products will recall, that there has to be specific storage area. Specific storage area has to be there in manufacturing area, where all these recall products can be stored separately. So apart from that, this guideline talks about the self-inspection, personal training, and personal hygiene. So whatever personals working in the manufacturing area, they should be properly trained. They should actually maintain the proper hygiene, and they should do the self-inspection. So those people who do the self-inspection of the manufacturing area, those people also should have the proper knowledge of the herbal medicines. Okay, they should have proper knowledge of the different analytical methods. Then only they can do the self-inspection. And all the people, those persons who are involved in the manufacturing process should be properly trained. They should be given enough training about the quality of herbal medicine. Then their training records should be properly maintained. So this guideline talks about the premises, means whatever premises, manufacturing premises are there, it has to be properly cleaned. Whenever we are storing any herbal API, that area has to be properly sanitized. And whenever possible, the crude herbal API should be stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius temperature. If there is recommendation that the plant material is susceptible for temperature, then it should be stored below sub-zero temperature, like minus 18 degrees temperature. And we need to make sure that the area is free from the rodent, free from the insects and other harmful microorganisms. So coming to the particularly documentation and this part. So once the finished products are developed, the proper documentation should be done for the crude herbal API, and whatever test that we do for crude herbal API, that has to be properly documented, as well as the test that we do for the finished herbal product, that has to be properly documented. So if we follow all this good manufacturing practice, then we can ascertain that whatever medicines we produce from that particular plant will have a good quality. Okay, so till now, so we have saw the different guidelines. We saw about the herbal pharmacopoeias. Now we'll see about the regulation of herbal medicine in India. Particularly, if you see the herbal medicine in India, the herbal medicines are controlled by the Ministry of Ayush. In Ministry of Ayush, it was in Ministry of Ayush is actually the authority which particularly responsible for the product licensing, GMP inspection, COP certification, clinical trial monitoring, and ensuring the compliance of the regulatory requirement of imported herbal products in the country. So Ministry of Ayush came into existence in 2014. Before that, Department of Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, and Homeopathy, which was short form known as Ayush, it was there established in 2003. And in 2014, it was recognized as a ministry. So Ministry of Ayush is actually responsible for manufacturing, marketing, and promotion of these basic drugs in India. So they actually grant the license for manufacturing of medicine product. They also can conduct the good manufacturing practices inspection, as we discussed in the earlier guidelines. They are also responsible for COPP certification, means certification of pharmaceutical product. So what this certification means like any importing or exporting products, if this certification is there, means the product is means it's suppose if you are exporting any herbal products, and if it has a COP certification, then that product, it is ensure that product has certain specific quality assurance. And any country where this product is exported, that country also can take you can also test whatever test they want to do for assessing the quality of that particular herbal medicine product. So if this COP certification is there, it is the approval given by the regulatory authority to assess that herbal medicine product in anywhere in any country. And Ayush Ministry also monitors the clinical trials. Means whatever clinical trials related to herbal medicines that we are there in India, that is controlled by the Ayush Ministry. So Schedule T of the Drug and Cosmetic Acts actually laid down the good management practices of a herbal medicine in India. So according to the Schedule T, these recommendations are given how to follow the good manufacturing practices of a manufacturing of a herbal medicines. So according to Drug and Cosmetic Acts, so ASC drugs, ASC means Ayurveda, Siddha and Union drugs, can be defined as a medicine intended for internal or external use for the diagnosis, treatment, mitigation, prevention of disease or disorder for human being or animals, manufactured exclusively in accordance with the formally described in Authority Book of Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani System of Medicine specified in the first schedule. So if this definition seems to be a little bit complicated, but let me explain it you in simple language. So what is meant by ASU drugs? Means ASU drugs are the drugs which are manufactured according to the methodology or formula given in the classical text. So what are those classical texts? Means like the classical text of Ayurveda, classical text of Siddha, classical text of Unani system of medicine. And so where this classical text are they mentioned? These classical text details are given in the first schedule of a Drug and Cosmetic Act. So this classical text contain the formula as well as the manufacturing method of this ASU drugs. So whosoever is manufacturing this ASU drug, they have to follow these protocols, whatever given in the classical text. Then only those drugs will be called as the ASU drugs. Otherwise, it will never be considered as the Ayurveda or ASU drugs. Otherwise, it will be considered as a herbal medicine, but not as a ASU drugs. Because the regulatory guidelines of Ayurveda, Ayush are different, and the other herbal medicine derived products are different. So if you are manufacturing the herbal medicine as per the classical text, then you don't need to perform the clinical trials. But if you are modifying the herbal medicine product, or if you are enriching the extract, then you need to apply separately. You need to apply to the particularly for regulatory agency for clinical trial, you need to prove the efficacy and safety in the clinical trial, like the new drug application. Then only you will be approved to you'll be given approval for marketing of that drug. But if you are manufacturing the drug as per the classical text, then you don't need to do any clinical trials, because the therapeutic use of that herbal medicine is well documented in the classical text. So based on that traditional use, it is the Ayush Ministry will give you direct license for manufacturing and selling of that drug. So if you see this chapter 4A, where different sections are there from section 30C to 33O, total 18 different sections are there in Drug and Cosmetic Acts, which talks about the different aspect of a herbal medicine. Means it talks about the forming of a technical advisory board, or it talks about the misbranded drugs, it talks about the adulterated drugs, spurious drugs, the inspection of the herbal medicine drugs. So several sections are there. Means if any particular whatever criteria we are going to establish for GMP certification or registration of manufacturing of herbal medicine, that has to be done according to the different sections of this Drug and Cosmetic Acts. In March 2003, means very recently, Ayush published the new guidelines for conducting the clinical trials of herbal drugs in India. So whosoever want to do the clinical trials of herbal drugs in India, they have to follow the Ayush guidelines very strictly. Means this Ayush guidelines talks about the design, conduct, termination, analysis, reporting, and documentation of a herbal study, the clinical trial studies on the human objects. So if you are not following these clinical practices of herbal medicine, then probably the regulatory agency won't give you the license for manufacturing or selling of this herbal medicine drugs. Now we saw the regulation in India. Now we see the regulation of herbal medicine in European market. So like in India, European countries also, the herbal medicines are very popular. Basically in Europe, the herbal medicine approval is done in the three ways. The registration is done based on the traditional use, or well-established use, marketing use, or the last one is the standalone or mixed application. Means like, so we'll explain one by one. The first one is traditional use registration. So in this case, if any herbal medicine product, if you want to launch in European market and under the traditional use category, then that herbal medicine product should be there in European market for more than 15 years. Means it should have some history of using that herbal medicine product in European market at least for 15 years. And it should have the history of using that product in any other part of the country for at least 30 years. If it is there, then based on the traditional use, and the safety profile of the drug in traditional use, the European countries can give you the license for registration of that product under the traditional use category. So here in this case, the company can go to the specific authority, national competent authority of any member state. Member state means any member countries of a European Union. Second category, well-established use category, marketing authorization. So in this case, scientific studies are well established on a particular herbal products. So based on the well-established scientific studies, a particular manufacturer want to take the license of a particular herbal medicine product under a well-established marketing category. Here, the product should have a sound scientific and rational scientific data to prove the efficacy and safety. If it is there, then this European regulatory agency can give the authorization under the well-established use category. Again, here in this case, the manufacturer can go to the respective national competent authority of a member state, or they can go to the EMA. EMA is actually European Medicine Agency, which is a central agency in Europe. So they can go for registration to the EMA, or they can go to the respective member state under the well-established category. The next category is a standalone or mixed application category. Here in this case, the company is actually developing the safety and efficacy data on their own. Means they have their own studies, have done their own clinical studies and develop the safety and efficacy data. And based on that data, they want to take the approval of that particular herbal medicine product. So in that case, this particular manufacturer can go to the respective state national competent authority, or they can go to the central agency like EMA for approval of this product. So basically, whatever herbal products are there in European market, they are basically under these three categories: traditional use category, well-established use category, or standard or mixed application category. So here they can take the approval from central agency like European Medicine Agency, or respective competent authority of a member state, or many member state country of a European Union. Now coming to the regulation of herbal medicine in US. And like in India, we say the herbal medicine products, like we say herbal medicine, but in India, in Europe, the herbal medicines are actually comes under the category of a dietary supplements. They don't call the herbal medicine product as a herbal medicine. They call it as a supplements, and they come under dietary supplement category. For dietary supplements in Europe, there is no need for taking the approval from US FDA for its safety and efficacy. But US FDA role begins when the products enter in the marketplace. So when the products enter in the marketplace, that time FDA will start scrutinizing this herbal dietary supplement product, and they will be like monitoring this production of that product and particularly and quality and efficacy of this product. If any risk or any illness also if it comes after taking that particular product in the consumers, then they can take very strict action against the particular manufacturer. Before that, they don't give any kind of approval, or then they don't need to take any approval. But before entering in the market, before launching the product in the market, you need to make sure that your product has a efficacy as well as safety profile properly established. If anything wrong happen after product enters in the market, then US FDA can take very, very strict action against the particular manufacturer. Particularly in the US, the highly fermentation products or highly purified or chemically modified botanic substances are not considered as a dietary supplements or botanical drug products. So this definition is very much similar to like our herbal medicine definition, what we saw in the as per the WHO guidelines. Suppose if any modified herbal medicine products are there, highly purified herbal medicine based products are there, then that particular manufacturer has to go through the regular route, like particular IND route, by performing the clinical trials through a US FDA. So in USA also, like particular US FDA approved a lot of complaints about these dietary supplements, and because of that, US FDA come up with a some guidance on the herbal product development, called as a Botanical Drug Development Guidance in 2016. So according to this guidance, US FDA has recommended certain quality parameters or standardization process that need to be followed while manufacturing this herbal medicine or dietary supplements. So now coming to the regulation of herbal medicines in Canada. Like in now we saw in Europe, we saw in US market, we saw in Indian market. And in Canada, this is regulated through the Health Canada, which is actually an organization which enacted in 2004 by the Canadian regulatory authorities. Okay. So in particularly in Europe, in Canada, the herbal medicines are called as a natural health product. So then certain names are different. And this regulation in NHR provides regulation for licensing requirement, good manufacturing practice, adverse reaction monitoring, clinical trial, as well as labeling and warning and recall features. So this, whatever regulations are provided by this Health Canada authority, they will give the guidance on the good manufacturing practice, adverse reaction monitoring, clinical trial, as well as labeling and recall features of the herbal medicine products. Now coming to the regulation of herbal medicine in rest of the world, particularly in the key market section, Middle East. So here the herbal medicines are actually recognized as the medicines. Like we saw in the US, it is not recognized as a medicine, but it is recognized as a dietary supplement. And in Canada, it is recognized as a herbal natural health product. But in Middle East or in India, like India, it is also recognized as a medicine. The regulations are very strict, and the more emphasis is given on the quality and chemistry and manufacturing control. In African country, it is recognized as a complementary medicine. It is not recognized as a mainstream medicine. Like in India, we consider herbal medicine also in the category of a mainstream medicine. But in Africa, it is comes under the complementary medicine category. The regulations are very stringent, and more emphasis is on quality and traditional use. In Russia also, the herbal medicines are recognized as a medicine, not like a dietary supplement. Regulations are very stringent and more emphasis on the safety and efficacy. So overall, what we saw today is that the herbal medicines are getting more and more popularity, and the herbal medicine regulations are also getting more and more stringent. So even earlier in India, the herbal medicines were not very well regulated. Before existence of a Ayush ministry, the regulations are not very stringent. But now, because of Ayush ministry and because of a separate Ayush department, now a lot of new regulations are coming, and the new guidelines are coming for herbal medicine. So the quality of herbal medicines is improving day by day. Similarly, in other countries also, the herbal medicines are promoted and their regulations are also improving. So even though there is a lot of work need to be done to match the quality specification of the other pharmaceutical, like the other allopathic drugs or other pharmaceutical drugs, but a lot of work is still being done, and a lot of work need to be done in developing the quality of herbal medicines. So this was all about what we discussed today. We discussed about the pharmacopoeias, then different guidelines, and then different regulations for medicine. I hope this talk might be useful to audience, and particularly the faculties of this pharmacy departments here in your pharmacy faculties, and then your college. So this so this all about from me. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for such an informative presentation. So, dear participants, it is question hour open for you. So, if you have any queries, sir is ready to answer you.
Hello, sir. This is Revan Siddhappa calling from SVT College of Pharmacy, Humnabad, sir.
Okay.
So all herbal drugs also need clinical trials, sir?
Not herbal drugs, like particularly if your herbal medicines are based on the classical herbal text. Classical text, I mean, like suppose ASU drugs. ASU drugs are there. ASU drugs means those drugs which are manufactured according to the classical text of Ayurveda or Siddha and Unani. If this manufactured strictly according to the classical text, then we don't need to do the clinical trials. Because the traditional use and efficacy of those USU drugs are well established, because those formulations are there from thousands of years in our system of medicine. So we don't need to do clinical trials now.
So we can say to send to other countries also, sir, which we formulated based on the Ayurveda or Siddha or homeopathy system. We can sell to other countries also. Is it possible, sir?
Not possible. Actually, in other countries, the regulations are different. As I said that in case of USA, the herbal medicines not considered as a medicines actually. They are considered the dietary supplements, herbal derived products. Okay. So that comes under very different category, and you need to take the approval under dietary supplement category there. Means if you launch this product as a dietary supplement, and if any adverse reaction observed in the population, then the particular manufacturer will be taken very seriously. So you will never get approval for marketing of this ASO drugs in US and other countries. But in Europe market, it is possible. But you need to show that particular herbal medicine based product is there in use in US European population from certain years. Like if you take the approval from under well established use category, then that particular herbal based product should be there in their traditional medicine for at least for 15 years, or and it should be there in other traditional medicine for at least for 30 years. Then only they will allow to give the permission to market in Europe.
Okay, sir. We can send as a extract. It is possible, sir. Not formulation. We can sell as a extract. Is it possible, sir?
Extract, but for what purpose you want to sell the extract? With any particular particular activity purpose, or for any other cosmetic purpose, or just you want to sell the
activity purpose, sir?
Yeah, but as such, as an extract, means you need to show some kind of product, right? As an extract, then it will be considered as a herbal API.
Okay, sir.
It will be considered as a herbal API, not as a herbal formulation.
Okay, sir.
You can
Thank you, sir.
Herbal API. Maybe there might be some companies which are interested to buy that herbal API.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for clarifying my doubt, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other question? Okay, madam, if there are no questions, with your permission.
Sir, can I get your PPT, sir?
PPT, I will check actually, because it has some information which I need to be removed. Then I can share. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your talk on the quality control aspects, the WHO guidelines, and thank you for clarifying the queries also, sir. If somebody is still giving any queries, I will pass on to you, sir. Then
Okay. Sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for your presence and making the faculty development program a better one. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, sir.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you very much again for inviting me for this talk. Thank you to entire organizing committee. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, today's session was over. So tomorrow's session will be start at 10:45 a.m.
10:45 Okay, Herbal drugs ಬಗ್ಗೆ.
Saturday session will be at 9:30 only. All of you note down, participants. Saturday's session will be at 9:30, followed by valedictory session. Tomorrow's session will be as usual at 10:45. Thank you for your presence. Today the session ends now. You can fill the feedback forms. Until evening it will be available.
Thank you, one and all.